What is The Omen? The Omen was a motion picture. It's the picture that opened up my career. I had done 3 features before this that never saw the light of day. Well, actually, one of them was a picture called X-15 with Charlie Bronson and Mary Tyler Moore. I was shooting a TV series. I met the producer. He asked me if I'd shoot second unit. Wow, on a feature. Yeah, sure. And they said, how would you like to do the movie? I said, oh, wow. So I ended up directing that movie in 18 days, but it put me right back in television. And then The Omen came along, and it had been laying around for many, many, many years. It had been turned down by every studio in town. It was called The Antichrist. I was fortunate enough to be given the screenplay as it was, and I read it. And I don't think there was any moral issues with me when I read it. What I read was a really good, scary film. It's a moment in somebody's life, in this case, a couple's life, that has no sense of reality. It's one of those things that you turn from your day and say, you're not going to believe what happened to me today. This was either the best day of my life or the worst day. In their case, it was the worst. And they are a victim of circumstances, Gregory Peck and Lee Remick. My instincts were to just let it flow and see what happened. I mean, and so that this isn't real. You must treat this. How can you ask actors like Gregory Peck and Lee Remick to play in a movie where I'm going to tell them in reality, did the devil take their child and kill it and give them a child that was the offspring of a jackal? And that was the Antichrist? No way. How could anybody believe that? But they read it. And my explanation was, there's no reality to this. This is just a moment of insanity that happens in your family, and it's accumulative and drive you guys nuts. And we turn this into a mystery, suspense thriller, and they loved it. And they loved that idea of it. Because as far as I was concerned, everything was victims of circumstance. The priest happened to be there when that bolt of lightning hit. If he had 2 steps away, okay, he got hit by it. Would anybody plan it? No, it just happened. Lee Remick was in a room. She saw the nurse come in. In her head, her husband said, get out. She was panicked. She fell against the window, and she fell out. I didn't see anybody push her. So it's all circumstance, to the point where it becomes a good movie because the circumstances are so strong that the character Gregory Peck plays cracks up so badly that he's about to put a knife in a child. Come on, man, you got to be out of your mind at that point. And so that's what the story's about. It's a story about a family, a couple that have put into a moment in their life that the circumstances are so strong and so bizarre and so devious that as it accumulates, it drives them insane and takes their lives. It all reverts back to, literally, good screenwriting. David Seltzer wrote a good screenplay. And he's written that good a screenplay, and we made that good a movie, that it's still a topic of discussion. It's so provocative. But in reality, it all boils down to just a damn good screenplay. I was so fortunate. That picture was surrounded with incredibly good actors. I can't use this word, but it was fortuitous for us, but it was a terrible moment in Peck's life. His son had died. He was going through hell. He felt that he was murdered, not suicide, and whatever it was, he was a very troubled man. And his agent said, if you offer this to Greg, he'll do it. And I'll talk him into it because I just want him to get out of his home and get out of his self-pitying that he was living. And that's exactly what happened. During the making of the picture, he may have had second thoughts. But once he got into it, he was Gregory Peck. An opportunity of a lifetime for me, and nobody better could have played that role. And he stood up, this man who killed the great white whale, and shook my hand, and that great voice said, I look forward to working with you. And that was it. Italy was tough because the area we shot in, you had a kind of a family that ran that area, a mafioso kind of family, and you made your deals with them. And the son of the Don that ran that area was the taxi driver. We had him play the taxi driver who drives Peck around Italy to find where the church had burned to the ground. Nice guy, but he's pretty tough. If you see him in the movie, you look at him. And if you see him in the movie, when he first drives up, he's got 10 fingers. Within that scene, you'll notice that one of the fingers is almost gone and there's a bandage on his thumb. Gregory Peck closed the door on his hand and almost took his thumb off. And the whole family, well, you try to kill him, my son, what is that doing? Get him out of here. And it was really hairy. It was very funny. But he wanted to be in showbiz, so he did it. I tried to show him how to do it like this, but he wanted everybody to see his bad thumb. Gilbert Taylor was a great director of photography in England, and he was living on a farm outside London somewhere. He had kind of semi-retired. I called him and I said, Mr. Taylor, I said, who I was, what I had. He said, I don't think I'm interested. I said, well, can we meet? He says, all right, I'll be coming into London this week. So he came in, and I had heard a lot about him, and I said, well, actually, you know, it's going to take place in a girls' school. And he lit up because he loved young girls. I said, no. He said, oh, you're a jokester. And so we kind of hit it off. We really liked each other. And he said, yeah. When I told him the cast, he said, I'd like to do it. He said, but, you know, I'd like to do it in 235, and where I was used to this. So I said, well, you know, this, for primarily two people, it's kind of, isn't it? He said, yeah, that's what makes it interesting. I said, well, it takes the warmth out of it. He said, are you free Saturday? I said, yeah. He said, well, I'll come pick you up. So he came over to my house Saturday, and he had a little Aeroflex and a couple of lenses, and we went out and just shot for the day around the park and around town and walking Kings Road and just kind of newsreeling it, but with 235. And so when I saw dailies, I realized, wow, what a wonderful, intimate usage of the screen through this man's knowledge. And so we shot that picture on 235. And Gil was great and a delight to work with, fun, always had a smile, laughter. I have a very happy set. And what can I say? I was terribly fortunate. By the way, the reason Star Wars got made was because Omen was a success. Because Fox was screwed with money and our money was pouring in, and Laddie was devoted to Star Wars and that money. Anyway, George Lucas called me and said, hey, that guy you used on Omen, I said, he's great. And then he called me and he said, after you started, he said, what did you get me into? These kids don't know anything. It's like a comic book. I said, I think so. He had no idea what he was making. You're scared stiff when you start a movie, but you can't let anybody else know it. Things you have to generate emotions for actors, for cameramen, you got enthusiasm, highs, lows when you want them. A lot of times they're artificial, but you know you have to do it to make something work or to make something connect or something. If it's television or commercial I'm doing or a movie, yeah, first couple of days you know you made the biggest mistake of your life. Yeah, it's scary. It was scary on that picture. That picture, even more so in a big way, because I had such great names in it. I usually get laryngitis when I can't shoot first day. I work with a line producer named Jimmy Van Wyck. More than a line producer, he's a great producer. And it's usually, hi, Jimmy, I can't shoot tomorrow. Yes, you can. No, I can't. If you ever get the confidence that you just walk in, then you're screwed. Then you've lost everything. And it was such an important picture for Fox. And Alan Ladd, my friend, took a big chance on me. Sure, it was scary all the way through. All the way through. I saw the first cut of that with a new editor, Stuart Baird. I had to replace the editor, and I brought Stuart in. We ran it in Soho and it was over, and I said, oh, shit, I fucked this up. This is it. The dogs have to go. I hate the nanny. Let's get in the cutting room. We're taking all that stuff out. And Stuart, who was really quite young and so fresh at it also, said, look, let's just do it little by little. I said, no, let's get up there now and do it. He said, no. So we went out and had a cigar and walked around the town and went back in and had calmed down and looked at the picture again. But it was terrible. I knew I had made the biggest mistake of my life. But gradually you got back in, you went to the scenes, and the picture started to, it was shaping properly, and it started to have a personality. But it's scary. It's a scary process. Anybody that's not scared is either blowing smoke or they're really good. There was a guy, and I don't remember his name, who was in charge of marketing for 20th Century Fox. They'd seen the picture, and they had prepared a program for Harvey and I to look at. And we walked in. God, I wish I could think of this guy's name. He's gone, so I could tell the story. And on the desk was this one sheet, and it was dismembered parts, and this is tasteless horror film thing. And we said, no, you missed the whole point of the story. It's a mystery suspense thriller. It's this, it's that. You can't. He said, relax, it's only a movie. And with that, Harvey jumped across the desk and grabbed this guy and cold cocked him. And the other guy grabbed me because I was going for. And we got into it at Fox, literally fisticuffs over. This guy said, it's only a movie. Said, it's only a movie. This, it's our life. Every picture's got its own little niche, and how you handle it, how you do it, how you put it together. And then these idiots can take it and ruin it or make it. In that case, they were going to ruin it. And so we got into this big thing, and we came out and almost bloodied, and went to Alan Ladd's office, who was president of Fox, and said, listen, these guys don't know what they're doing. They're screwing this thing up. He said, well, look, there's a chairman named Stanfel. Why don't you go in and, he'd seen the movie. So you go in on your knees, and Mr. Stanfel and everything, and he said, well, what's wrong? We told him. He said, what's the solution? Well, we said, the solution is to bring in an outside advisor. He said, okay, you have my permission. So we did some research, and we found a guy, and I don't remember his name, out of New York. And we hired him. And he came out, and he sat down, and he created You Have Been Warned, The Omen, the use of 666. He just created the entire campaign. Without that campaign, if we had been forced to use the original Fox campaign, I truly believe we would have had maybe a week or so and gone in the tubes. But the way he built it, there was an awareness that was extraordinary. There was a want to see that was extraordinary, and it was a unique one. So we ran it in Westwood. And when they came out of the theater, the signs were put up while they were in there. You have just seen The Omen. On the 6th month, the 6th day of the 6th year of 1970, 666, you have been warned. And people came out of that. First of all, they really were taken aback. They loved it. They were scared. The move worked well. People freaked out. I'd sit in the front row of the Westwood Theater and look back at different times like that, David's decapitation, the priest, her out the window, and watch the audience. And they'd scream or hide their heads, or it was very exciting, very wonderful. Did I do that? Did I do those terrible? We're illusionists. Love, laughter, horror, fright, anything, whatever. And it's fun. It's fun when you can provoke an audience into what you want. It's terribly exciting, gratifying. I became the fruit of the month. You know, whether you're right or wrong for something, if you're hot that month, everybody wants you. Even if it's the wrong role, the wrong anything, they want you because you're going to make them millions of dollars and successful. So when The Omen came out, I was the fruit of the month, and the telephone rang. I was sitting on the toilet Sunday morning, and a voice says, this is Alexander Sorkin. You know who I am? I said, no, I have no idea. He says, you don't? He said, I am producing Superman, and I want you to direct it. I'll give you $1 million. I hung up on him. That was one of my friends. But how did you get my name? Well, we heard about The Omen. That was it. I became the fruit of the month. Had that picture changed my life? God, in so many ways it's extraordinary because I believe in how it evolved. From that came meeting my wife, my movie, my life, my wife. It's just, I would have gone back to television if it had been a failure and still been happy. But it changed it for the best. I'm a firm believer that that word luck is out there. I'm a really firm believer, my glass half full, and I'm a lucky guy. Thank you, Omen.